Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today, or trying to have a good week. It'd be more optimistic this week. It'd be a little bit more positive this week. But some news to go over today. Julio Jones had his interview, his first interview with the Philadelphia Eagles as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, the beat writers were not allowed to be at practice today. Obviously, the Eagles want to hide as much as possible when it comes to the start. Personnel, injuries, defense, all that stuff. So, we just got the interviews today. We're going to go into the safety front. Some things have taken a turn for maybe the bad, maybe the positive. Depends on how you look at it on the Eagles search for, Howie Roseman trying to get someone else in this secondary. And some good news on the injury front going forward. So let's talk about all of it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, I hope everyone's having a great day. Now, there's a lot to go on. Obviously, a big game on Sunday night against the Miami Dolphins. And we heard from Julio Jones finally in an interview. And you know what? I'm very happy. I feel good, where this is going. And this is a low-risk, high-reward move for the Eagles right now. And Julio Jones wearing number 80, which I didn't, it's a weird number. It's a weird number for him to make here, or to wear here. Things that were asked, but I think Nick had a lot to say about Julio Jones. They looked on a lot of tape from last year with Tampa, and liked what he did see, that he still has juice in the tank. But ultimately, this team is still running through Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, and Dallas Goedert. Okay, Julio Jones is not a focal point of this offense, but definitely another weapon, a reliable weapon for the Philadelphia Eagles on the inside. Now, Julio Jones was asked, taking a lesser role. Like, is he willing to take a lesser role with the Philadelphia Eagles in this lineup? And he says, I'm definitely here to dominate. Don't get it twisted. Okay, this is only the first sign of, I think, that Julio Jones is not going to be the number 4 receiver. Okay, I think, if a guy needs a break or there's different personnel or something, maybe he will be on the sideline. But I think ultimately Julio Jones was brought in, okay, not only because, Nick liked the tape, but I think, this is the end of Julio Jones's career, close to it, 34 years old. This is a team he needs to take advantage of going on roster-wise, that can get to a championship game. I understand we have issues with BrianJohnson, and hopefully all this, is a blessing in disguise, and hopefully last Sunday was just a bad dream. But, Julio Jones really wants to be a part of something special, and if the Eagles can, get him involved some way, low-risk, high-reward move, I think good things are going to happen out of it. I think, Olamide Zaccheaus or Olamide Zaccheaus is going to take a little bit of a back seat. Not saying phased out, but I think, they want to get more of a savvy vet in there. And even watching tape from last year as well, I think Julio Jones can still get separation. I don't know how much of a vertical threat he's going to be, but as, intermediate routes, short things, or, using him for red zone, and I think they're going to be doing a lot more with him than we expected. I think that he is going to be a prime starter for the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday and a lot of games to come this year. Now, they even asked, how much do you have left in the tank? And Julio said, watch and find out. We'll revisit this question. So there's a lot of pride. There's a lot of his mentality is focused right now to get this thing going with the Eagles and getting enough practices in this week. They'll sign him to the active roster later this week. He's on practice squad right now. That's only just because they have to do that. And then once he's ready at the end of the week, they'll put him to the active roster and he'll be ready to go for Sunday night. So even just taken from this whole entire interview, I mean, he just seems focused, and a lot of Eagles fans are very down on him. If the Eagles won on Sunday and we were 6-0, nobody would be talking shit about Julio Jones right now. I think the only reason why they're talking about Julio Jones is because, well, we need another receiver. Why do the Eagles need another receiver right now? It's already enough that they're passing way too much in a game, not getting your running backs involved. Why adding him? Why is this a big deal? We talked about Quez Watkins being big trade bait in a few weeks, and I feel like by the trade deadline, who knows? Quez might be shipped out of here at this point, but the Eagles need another receiver regardless, as much as it wasn't the prime you know, it wasn't something we needed right away. I mean, we were looking for that defensive move, the secondary move, you know, more important than getting another receiver. You know, so I think Julio Jones is focused. He's ready to go out there and dominate, and it just seems like he's not taking a lesser role, or he's sitting on the sideline. You know, it's not like he said, okay, well, whatever they have me as a backup or a starter, I'll do whatever I can for this team. No, it's like he's here to dominate, and that's his main focus. And I think even talking to his agent, you know, when Howie talked to his agent, there probably was some specifics on what is Julio Jones' role in that offense. Is he going to sit on the sideline, or is he going to do something? You know what I mean? At a guy at his age right now that is not – the pressure is going to be off of Julio Jones in this offense. There's no doubt about it, okay? We're not asking him to be the focal point. As a number 3 receiver to a number 4, whatever you want to call it, you know, there's, you know, you always got to be prepared and be ready when your number is called, whether Hurts is extending plays with his legs or there is a dialed-up play that he really needs to go get. You know, him and A.J. Brown have a really good relationship. They work together in Tennessee. And I think we could see a resurgence in his career. I'm not saying it's going to be Pro Bowl numbers, but it's going to be very productive than, well, he's had probably the last few years. We'll see what happens. You know, I mean, I'm not going to make a big deal about it, but this is a low-risk, high-reward move that I'm very happy about. And, you know, I think it's way more than him being the number 4. I think he's a strict number 3 going to this offense. And I think the Eagles are just sick and tired of Zaccheaus. I think they're sick and tired of Quez being hurt all the time. And I'm not putting anything against Zaccheaus. I don't, you know, I think he could burn people. I think he can get separation. I just question they just don't pass to that position too much. They haven't done much for wide receiver 3s. Nevertheless, not to mention that Dallas Goedert, you know, just had, you know, a couple games ago had his first game where he was very productive. You know, like they barely threw to the tight ends this year at all, you know, going into week 7 of the season. So it's kind of, you know, yes, this move is kind of weird, but I think this gives them, if Julio Jones can stay healthy, this gives them a solid mark to do great things. So I'm good with it, and I'm happy for it. And it sounds like, you know, Julio's doing his thing. So we'll see what happens. On the safety front as of right now, okay, now I know that Jeremy Chinn has barely been used, you know, in Carolina so far this year, and it looks like the reason why this trade hasn't gone down for Jeremy Chinn is because he is dealing, you know, with a quad injury and is going to be sidelined for the next 6 weeks. And which really sucks because I thought this was going to be the move for the Eagles. Unfortunately, things just happened. We have to remember, guys, that things are a blessing in disguise. Like, if Jeremy Chinn got hurt and the Eagles were going to trade for him, I guess it was just never meant to be. We have to take this into a huge example of what happened last year before the Eagles got A.J. Brown. Originally, before the A.J. Brown crap even popped up in a trade, the Eagles had a lot of interest in Calvin Ridley. The Eagles were going to trade a 4th-round pick to the Falcons for Calvin Ridley before he was shipped to the Jags. Obviously, he was suspended for the year for the gambling situation. The Falcons backed out of the deal out of respect for the Eagles to not screw them over. You don't want to burn your bridges in the league with teams that can really help you out with trades. Calvin Ridley was supposed to be a Philadelphia Eagle before A.J. Brown. So things happen for a reason. That's what I always say, just life in general. Things always happen for a specific reason. If Jeremy Chinn, you know, end up getting hurt and is going to be sidelined for 6 weeks, it happened for a reason, for some apparent reason, because I believe in all that. Okay, I feel like there's going to be a bigger move on the way. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a Justin Simmons move, or depending on the price tag. I don't know what Howie Roseman, his highest bid is going to be draft compensation-wise. The Eagles have 10 picks in the draft next year. They have 2 second-round picks, and, you know, Carolina and Denver are the 2 teams you want to take advantage of, because Denver needs draft picks, and obviously Carolina, you know, only has doesn't have a 1st-round pick going into next year. You know, so it's interesting, but you know, could they go down the Budda Baker route, since Budda Baker finally has been just got activated on the 21 practice day window, so he is off the IR. Just wondering if, you know, there's something still in the Budda Baker thing that we're going to be very surprised over. You know, as much as I value more of a Jeremy Chinn or another player somewhere else where they could play safety and corner, I would like, you know, a player that could play both positions. I think there's just more of a value to it. But as a pure safety, I don't think Reed Blankenship is enough. And Sidney Brown is just coming off injury. If he's playing this week with that hamstring or whatever it was, You know, there's no promise that Sidney Brown's going to play good the rest of the year or get injured again. I think the Eagles just, regardless if it's a hybrid safety corner or it's a strict safety, they got to get somebody in here. So, Budda Baker coming back. We'll see what happens with that. Should be interesting. And the good front about Lane Johnson, looks like, you know, Brian Baldy did work out with Lane Johnson at his house. And it looks like that Lane is ready to play this week. If this isn't one of those moments where Lane is playing on a bad ankle for 5 to 6 weeks and then he's going to be out for the rest of the season, where the Eagles get to the playoffs, then we don't have Lane Johnson for the playoffs. That's like, you know, this was a grade 1 ankle sprain, so it wasn't bad. Apparently for linemen, it's not as bad as it is for other special positions like wide receiver or corner or things like that. But for Lane, if he was feeling discomfort, I feel like this injury is not bad. I feel like if it was a little bad, they wouldn't risk him playing this week. And yes, trust me, it would be hard not to play him this week because I don't really trust Jack Driscoll playing right tackle. I think we all know that. He was obviously slated as the worst, you know, statistically, he was slated as the worst offensive lineman for the Eagles that played against the Jets. As soon as he got in there, he was getting creamed every single play. But Lane Johnson, like I said, if this thing was a lot worse, I don't think he'd be playing. I don't even think it's a little worse or a little bad. I think he feels pretty damn good this week. And Lane is a warrior. He always has dealt with mostly, you know, ankle injuries. He played with the groin injury last year, you know, and actually, you know, played very well, I mean, on injury in the playoffs last year. And you know, we're going to need Lane Johnson down the road. So if this ankle starts acting up, you know, they gotta keep him out. We have no choice. Like, you know, they have to figure out a way. You know, you can't get a right tackle in free agency. There's no good right tackles out there. Getting a good lineman is very hard to get when someone's, you know, if someone's going to be available. So, and you're not trading for one, you know, it's impossible. It's not impossible, but I just don't think the Eagles are going down that route to give up more draft capital for a right tackle. So Lane Johnson coming back is definitely big for this offensive line. Need that protection, and, you know, that's a good thing. So, other than that, that's pretty much it on the news for the Philadelphia Eagles. And, you know, Julio Jones seems like he is going to be a starter this year, not a fourth stringer. I think Zacchaeus will be used in games, but I feel like Julio Jones is his mentality and where his thoughts are, by the way he answered certain things, is telling me that they want to start him in the slot. They want to, I mean, really, I mean, you could say that Julio Jones could be an upgrade to the third wide receiver spot just because, like, you have someone that's very reliable, but yes, has to stay healthy too, you know, and you know, been around the league since what, 2008, 2009, has been in the league for a long time. So if this is like the last goodbye in his career, and the first time he'll be playing is where the Eagles wear Kelly green uniforms, and welcome him to the Eagles, you know, fan base. And, you know, I hope he does well. I hope BrianJohnson fixes the issues with this offense. I know it's hard to get excited about this offense with all this is going on. Like I said, if the Eagles won against the Jets, and even if they won ugly or, you know, one in general, I think people would love this. You know, people just want to throw him under the bus and say he's old. He's, you know, he's played on 4 teams in 4 years. You know, he's 34. He's washed. They're putting up stupid memes of players that you're picking. You know, he's not in his prime, okay? Like, Julio Jones is not in his prime, but the guy could still play, okay? Watched a lot of tape on him the last day and a half, and guy can still play. Just depends on, like I said, health and all that. But let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think about the safety issue too? Honestly, with, you know, Jeremy Chinn is going to be sidelined now, and what are the other options? Do the Eagles go all in and go get somebody? We'll see. But I will talk to you guys on the next one. You guys have a great day. Shakes, follow us. Peace out, guys. Peace.